Hey Harmonizers! In this video we are picking up my new horse for the Thoroughbred makeover. So this is the little farm where we picked her up from in Michigan. I got her through the Canter, Michigan website. It's an adoption program for thoroughbreds after the racetrack. So here she is hiding in this little window here, and I had you guys guess what color she was. And the winning color you're going to find out in a second. Basically, we got back from Michigan and got into Ontario, and I had her just spend the night here at this place because we didn't quite make it all the way home. It was really late into the night. And so one of my friends that was closer along the route said that we could stop there. And then the next day I came over and we're going to go pick her up. And so the winning person for the free ticket the Back on the Road fundraiser was named Rachel. And so they got a free ticket into the Back on the Road fundraiser, which is basically a whole bunch of my sponsors donated free prizes to be able to let me do a fundraiser to sell some tickets and get back on the road, put the funds towards getting a new truck. And here's Mr. Boo. He's ready to start heading home. And then here is my thoroughbred. So when you're first looking at her, you're probably going to be like, oh, she's a bay. Well, and she definitely started as a bay, but she's technically a gray. And I'm trying to kind of zoom in on her face so you can kind of see there's some gray hairs that are starting there. So she definitely looks bay for the most part, but you can see a little bit in the light too. The little gray hairs starting. You can also see it in her tail a little bit as well, but she is gray on her, like on her paper, she's registered gray. So this is her at my farm, at my place, excuse the cobwebs, and she spent the first night in a stall, and then the next day I went to put her out because when we got home it was still dark and I didn't want to put her into a new field when it was dark outside, so I wanted her to just be in a stall for the night. So this is outside, just kind of showing her without the blanket, like what she's starting at. They usually are pretty thin, racing fit coming off the track. They're a lot of muscle, not really a lot of fat. And so over the next few weeks or even few months, I'm going to be feeding her alfalfa pellets and a vitamin mineral balancer, and she'll be on some omega alpha supplements, and she'll be getting some omega-3 oils to try to put some fat on her, because right now she's basically just muscle, and she's even starting to lose her muscle because she hasn't been running. I forget when her published work was. I think it was in September, so she's already starting to lose that a little bit. And of course, we'll see her lighten up and become more gray over the next little bit, I'm sure. So I decided to let her go for a run in the arena just so I could learn a little bit more about her. I think spending time observing our horses is really valuable and really important. And this kind of gives me a bit of insight into what she'll be like to work with. So when a horse is loose in the arena like this and I'm just observing what they're up to, I'm asking myself a few questions. I'm asking, what's the energy level of the horse? And right now she looks like she's kind of medium level energy. She doesn't, she's not galloping around the arena. And this is even after being cooped up for a couple days of traveling and being in a stall. She's not really running around all that fast. And I also asked myself, are there any spooky spots of the arena or places that she's not willing to go? And she actually travels around a fair bit of the arena all by herself. She's not stuck in one spot of the arena. I'm also looking to see how long her attention span is, like how long she stays focused on one particular task. And I'm also assessing how curious she is. There's lots of stuff in my arena. There's always lots of different jumps and different obstacles. And it's an opportunity to kind of see, does she want to check things out or is she scared of things? And so what I'm seeing in her is there's a fair bit of natural curiosity in her, and she's not spooking at a lot of the things. She's actually kind of intrigued by them a little bit. She is mostly hanging out at the close end of the arena, which I was a little bit surprised that she didn't want to do more running around, just given that she'd been cooped up a whole bunch. So I asked one of my staff to go in and they're going to shoo her around a little bit. So they're just politely shooing her. They've got a stick ribbon wand with them and just kind of asking her to move a little bit. And just because I want to see what her natural athletic ability is. Remember, I buy all of my horses for the Thoroughbred Makeover sight unseen. I'm really just looking to know that they're sound and that they don't have any vices. But otherwise, like I don't care what their temperament or their training is when I first get them. So even when we're going to shoo her around and ask her to go, she's always allowed to say hello to the human first. We never want the horse to think that we're not friendly. Like we ask them to go and then she's shooing her around a little bit. But if she looks at us and wants to come over, we always invite that. And what's interesting here is I have Riley smack the ground pretty hard there when she ran away at the trot. And the horse didn't even break into a canter. Like she was kind of like, ah. So you can definitely see why she retired from racing. She actually just had a published work and then didn't continue on after that. And you can see like Riley's really spinning that wand, and the horse is kind of like, I'll get around to trotting. So definitely not a lot of go there. In contrast, Fairly, when we did this with Fairly, she just runs around the arena and she'll swap leads left and right and was doing all sorts of rollbacks and all sorts of stuff. And this horse took a fair bit of shoeing for Riley to get her to even do a canter. And then, like, she does some changes of directions, but she doesn't actually show us any clean flying lead changes. So, potentially not as athletic or agile compared to Fairly. And that's just important to know too, because when I start to ride her or work her and I ask her for these different things, then it's important for me to know what she's naturally capable of and what's going to be hard for her. So here's a little look of the little baby monitor that was in the corner there. That's my new little setup with Evelyn up in the viewing room that's heated. And then I keep an eye on her with the baby monitor. And here's a little look out in the field. So I put her in a field with 4 other horses. So it's a small field of 5 ponies together. And I put her in a very docile field. These horses all tend to be kind of submissive types. And so for that reason, I didn't bother introducing her individually to different horses. I thought it'd be safe for her to just go out and say hello. Plus, I'm watching her the entire time to make sure that everything goes well. And as you can see, the other horses are, they're kind of vaguely interested in her a little bit. They're kind of like, hey, who are you? But they're definitely not chasing or biting or doing anything mean or aggressive. And it's always interesting to watch horses get introduced out in the field because we're kind of seeing, is my horse dominant? Is she submissive? Does she greet them with sniffing nose? There she gave a little nibble. And some of it can be, sometimes they can be a little bit defensive. They're not really sure if they can trust the other horses. She goes for a little trot, but you can see nobody's bothering her, and she kind of moves around the field a little bit. She figures out where the hay is, which is important, although it's not a big field, so it's not hard for her to figure out where stuff is. And going around that, she actually did quite a few walking loops around the shelter, which was kind of cute. But she's just kind of exploring the field a little bit. You can see at our farm we have the flex rail fencing with a combination of electric as well. I like the flex rail because it gives a solid fence line, a visual barrier for the horse. But horses can very easily push on the flex rail, as I have learned. So it is important to have that electric fence on there as well to make sure they stay back and respect the fence and don't get caught up in it as well. And we use the electric rope. The braided rope fencing works really, really well. So the horses, you can see, they're not really bugging her all too much. And my overall sense of her is that she's generally pretty curious. Like, she's pretty brave walking around the field, checking things out. She's pretty brave in the arena. A little more on the lazy side when it comes to a thoroughbred, but also seems kind of sensible as well. So she is going to be looking for a name. So she's a 2-year-old thoroughbred with 1 published work at the track, but was too slow, so she didn't actually race. and she's about 16 2 hands. I sticked her, and I've already got the vet booked. Next week is going to be coming up to do her teeth and kind of give her a checkup. But she is going to need a name because her registered name is Thunderous Affair. I'm just showing you guys the automatic waters there and one of the other horses in the field. And I don't really want to call her Thunder, and I definitely don't want to call her Affair. So she is looking for a name. So share some names in the comments for me. See if you are the winner, and make sure you post the meaning to the name in there as well. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and bye for now.